Hello and welcome to Two Words Wolves Pod. I'm Ryan Eichten, and with me today is not Leo. Leo unfortunately does not have power at his house down in California. Still high winds down there. Fortunately, his house has been safe with fires, his family's safe, all that. So we're glad with that. But unfortunately, he cannot record with us tonight. So instead, I brought on Travis Singleton, a bit late notice. And as some listeners are aware, Travis coming on this pod has a bit of a negative omen on this team, and it happened again. I asked Travis on, and probably an hour or two later, the Wolves are down 34-12 after the first quarter. Travis, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I feel like I'm a jinx whenever I come on here. It's right after a loss, so we got to
Is
figure
that
something out.
just like a loss? It's like I mean, they've had plenty of these this year, but just like soul crushing. What the heck are we doing? Loss.
It's like you want me to come on here to like do a deep dive depression conversation, and it's not fun all the time.
Yeah, it's I'm not trying to be a therapy session for both of us, but it's turning out to be that.
Hey
And
man,
I said that I appreciate you filling in on late notice. But
yeah,
at this point, we're getting to like we're just gonna have to like find like okay, they play Washington on Saturday, February 1st. Let's pinpoint that one. Let's find a soft spot in the schedule here.
yeah. We gotta find something. But the schedule coming up is a little tough. So I guess we'll be talking again in February.
Yeah, we'll find someone else to fill in for this tough stretch. But the Wolves did fight back in that game. Maybe that makes
Yeah.
it all the more frustrating if they just end up losing by 10 or 20. Maybe it's just like you wiped it off. But a stat I kind of found interesting is they're now 0-5 in games where they come into the game 3 games above 500. So 0-5 when they attempt to get 4 games over 500. Basically kind of tells you they've been playing 500 basketball for a couple months, dating back to that terrible late game collapse against the Heat. I'm looking for the date on that one. November 10th. Yeah, so it's over 2 months of just 500 basketball. Some winning streaks in there, some losing streaks in there, but ultimately they're basically 500 for the past 2.5 months. And obviously a big part of that has been just terrible starts to games. I wrote this down on November 27th after the Kings game. They were 8-10. They have kind of bounced back a little bit since that game. But here's what Finch said, and I just so many games follow this exact same script. It's like Groundhog Day. We're playing the same game every night. We get down, fight back, run out of gas, can't close. That's what we've been doing. Is that not an exact description of what happened in this Warriors game?
Man, that Warriors game, man. I mean, you want to talk about sucking the life out of a building, right? They just came out flat. A lot of miscues, a lot of. I think in the beginning they were overthinking a lot. Because if you watch the game, a lot of overthought passes. Extra pass when they didn't need to pass. Saw Anthony Edwards at the lane. Had a layup and kicked it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, some of the stuff that was uncharacteristic that, they really got to try to fix up, and I think it starts on the defensive end, and we've been saying that all year, right? If you lock up defensively, then all the miscues on the offense aren't going to be, they're not going to be out there as much. And right now, when you're having miscues on both sides, which happened last night in the start of the game, it's really tough, and I think they're struggling with these teams that have a lot of have good ball movement. When these teams have the extra pass, that's where they're struggling. And Warriors last night was a perfect example. I mean, you got 4 or 5 passes, and then Steph Curry's wide open.
Yep.
I thought I saw that about at least 5 times last night. He hit about 7 threes. So I mean, it's just more, and he missed a couple open threes too. But I think they just got to really dig down deep on the defensive end first, and then their offense will get unlocked. But it's been good to see Dante getting comfortable. Because the last time we talked, he didn't know, he didn't look, he didn't know where he was. And
Mm-hmm.
and I'm glad that Dante is playing a lot more comfortable. But some of these starts I think have to also do with because they're still trying to find figure each other out too. It's tough when you just change up a lineup and you're so accustomed to playing with Mike, and now you got Dante. And I think Dane even asked Ant, what's the difference with playing with Dante, and he was like, Dante's gonna get the ball moving, and he's gonna he can shoot from anywhere. As in with Mike, he's making that high IQ basketball play, and he's slowing it down. He's reading the defense, and and they're two different players. So there's gonna be some adjustments that happen. And they're struggling right now, but the Warriors came out red hot. Warriors came out on a mission, and and they put us down real. They put us down real early. But Steph Curry, some of the stuff he was making last night, I mean, you just gotta tip your hat to him too.
Yeah. You talk about the defense, like that was kind of the. I thought the defense played well overall. Like they limited for everyone but Steph. They did a good job, I thought. Especially like in the stretches where the Wolves offense was doing terrible. But there's just so many just little mistakes down the stretch, which a player like Steph is going to just hammer on your head, because just multiple times, like the Wolves basically just play the worst first quarter of the season, probably the worst first quarter they've played in a long time.
Yeah.
And they they battle back. Like they get it all the way back to tied with a minute left. And they just I watched the playback. Nas loses. They switch Nas onto Curry because Jaden gets screened off, and Nas kind of loses track of him, and he gets open for a three. And Ant kind of didn't see that. I was ball watching a little bit and didn't see that Nas lost him and didn't make a rotation either. And it's just like, that just can't happen. Like, let anyone else shoot there. If Wiggins makes a pull up long two, then that's what it is. If they make and they get a wide open three for Buddy Hield or whoever was on the court at the time, like, you live with it. But like, you just it's not expert analysis to say just make sure the best shooter ever doesn't get an open look. And then the other thing, like even after that, they battled back. They had it down one. After a free throw, they had it down two. Missed free throw, chance to tie or take the lead, and Looney beats Rudy to the defensive rebound. And that's just another big thing. Like they traded all this for Rudy. He was the defensive player of the year last year. If they're gonna play him, because he's such a he just has to get that rebound. It's just, there's no other way to say it. That just has to be a rebound Rudy Gobert grabs.
Yeah, I think honestly the biggest thing is the second chance points. Rebounding has the rebounding has been really, as of late, it's been really, really poor, to say the least. But I think honestly it's just all about hustle. Like even that Memphis game, they got out hustled. These teams are just out hustling them and beating them to the spots. And Trace Jackson Davis, he went crazy. I thought he was an all-star last night for some man had like 10 rebounds in the first quarter. So they just got to get on the boards and crash the boards. And Ant was talking about that too. It's all about positioning and boxing out your man, and that also helps. But I mean, just like Curry was doing his thing, Buddy Hield got comfortable, and I've covered Buddy Hield when he was at OU. When Buddy is comfortable, he ain't turning it off. He got comfortable, started hitting some jumpers, started getting to the rim, to the basket. And when Curry's getting somebody else that's opening things up for him, that's even more scarier. And when we're talking about a Warriors team that was sitting players, they didn't have their whole team.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have Draymond. They didn't have Kyle Anderson. Kuminga, he wasn't playing. Like, you know what I'm saying? So this
I honestly don't know who. I don't even know how to GUI Santos. I don't even know how to pronounce his first name.
Santos hit a three. Santos hit a three and blew a kiss to the crowd. I was like, I don't know who this guy is.
He's scoring 2.4 points per game for them. Like, when you just have to win on nights where someone is starting, where the Warriors are starting someone who scores less than 3 points a game.
Yeah, that was really tough to watch. But I will say this though, like you said earlier, the Timberwolves are gonna fight. That's one thing we know. They're gonna scrap. They're gonna fight. They're gonna get back into it. They did get back into it, and they just got slapped in the mouth, and that's what happens. You get slapped in the mouth, and then by the time you're like, oh, wait a minute, I gotta wake up. It's time to go, get back into this fight. And they did, but it's all about that late game execution. And I think Finch got to find that perfect, that perfect lineup to finish with in clutch time. And when he finds that, I think we'll be right there where we need to be. The thing is, there's so many tweaks and so many different lineup changes, and you could tell they're still trying to figure it out as they go. Obviously, we're going to talk about Dante, but making a drastic change like that lets you know that they're still trying to figure things out.
Yeah, and you've seen them. I just think like the biggest thing for the season is like how poorly Mike and Rudy have played. Like those two have been were even offensively were such a big part of what they were doing last year. Mike finishes with a single point in only 19 minutes. Rudy only 29 minutes. Gives up that late rebound. The defense is good down low, but like it's just not like defensive player of the year or really even all defense dominant. And if he's not going to play at that level, he's not a starting caliber player in this league anymore, which is I do think he'll get back to that at a certain point. I think he'll get back to all defensive level. I think even he could be, other than Wembanyama, who just is an insane defender at this point, like he could still be like the second best defender in the NBA or like first team all defense type of player, but like he just hasn't been as consistently good. And on the offensive end, a lot of it is his fault, and a lot of it is just like the structure and the players he has around him just hasn't worked. And I continue to kind of feel like we can talk about Dante in the starting lineup, but like I just continue to think like the Randall, McDaniels, Gobert threesome just does not work. And I'm not even sure having two of them on the court. Like that's just two, like Randall and Gobert, or Randall's and McDaniels do not have a consistent enough 3-point shot, and Gobert obviously doesn't shoot at all. And it's just, there's so many times, I rewatched the game, just so many times where like there's just like 4 defenders in the paint because they just don't care about, even like Mike, they're not really even respecting his 3-point shot anymore. It just makes it so hard. And I just wonder if like you run out a lineup where it's like you only have one of them out there, where it's like Ant, Nikhil, Dante, Nas, and maybe Jaden, and you're just like all offense. Like what would that type of lineup look like? I think it'd not be good enough defensively, but they're doing more of it. They're sitting Rudy more. They went away from Randall pretty quick. It's hard to see the ceiling of this team being anything more than like a first round upset team, as currently constituted, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think, they gotta figure it out. They gotta find that lineup that just works. Remember a couple years ago when the Warriors had the death lineup?
Yep.
Remember that? We gotta find our death lineup. That's just what it is. We gotta find a lineup when they're out there, we got the mismatch and you know that we can execute. And like I said, it starts on the defensive end. A lot of people, including myself, I thought Jaden was gonna take that next step this year. And
it's been the opposite, unfortunately.
But that's my thing, though. It's like, everybody had high expectations for him coming in and, taking that next leap, especially with Cat leaving. And with him playing a little bit under what we've expected, I think a lot's to be on him as well too, because sometimes these teams are leaving him open in the corner and you gotta make that shot. 9 times out of 10, you gotta try to at least make that shot. I mean,
Yep.
they're leaving them open in the corner. Like it's reminding me of like, when people used to leave like Robertson open, or players that they thought really couldn't shoot, but it's like if you give them the opportunity, they'll make the shot. It's more so about confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And when Jaden plays with that confidence on both sides of the floor, he shows up in a special way. We just got to see that at a consistent rate, where if he takes that next step, then I think that this team could take the next step with him. Because I know when I first got here in 2022, I first envisioned Anthony Edwards, Batman, and then Jaden as the Robin. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, Cat was gonna just be the big brother. You know what I'm saying? Where he's like, "Hey, I'm here to just fill in and do what I gotta do." But I always thought that Jaden was going to take that next step, and I want to see him take that next step. And he's shown some glimpses this year. You know, I think the Timberwolves are a lot more dangerous when Jaden's on the boards, when he's crashing boards and taking it down. You know, when he brings it down the court itself, we were flourishing during that. You know, and I think that throws people off too. But they got to figure out the lineup. You know, obviously adding Dante has been a huge boost when it comes to, just the offensive side of things. But like you said, defensively, that's where we need the Rudy Gobert of last year and the year before, where anything came in the paint, nobody was scared of him. I think now people are trying Rudy so many times. It's like, all right, how can we help Rudy? And the thing is, the help isn't the same as it's been in the past. So you got to figure out with this team, you got to figure out how to outscore teams to win instead of defending to win.
Yeah, and I do think some of the struggles with Rudy, some of the struggles with Jaden, some of the struggles with Mike, I mean, not the it aren't fully to do with age. And obviously Jaden's young. But like with Rudy and Mike, I think a lot of people would assume they're toast now. Or I just think that I'm sure they're on like as anyone their age, they're on the decline instead of getting better every year. That makes sense for their where they're at age wise. But like, I just wonder if it's just very clear that Julius is kind of the problem, and I honestly think it's like he is kind of being scapegoated. It's not all his fault. He has not played very well, but like I don't think anyone on this team has really played as you'd expect. I just don't think the fit is there, and I just wonder if they had a different type of player in that role, what it would look like for pretty much everyone. You talk about Jaden taking a leap, and there's not enough ball. Like Ant and Julius both need the ball a lot, and Dante's the point guard, and like there's just not enough room for Jaden. And I just wonder if like what does it look like if Randall's in here? But unfortunately, I'm not confident that a trade at the deadline is coming, and I'm not confident that they really are in the type of mood to like go out and actively shop him either.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he's in a tough spot because obviously everybody sees what Cat's doing, and and everybody's going to compare. It's a trade. Everybody's going to compare. Even Cat said the same thing when I talked to him. He said, "Look, they're going to look at it. Who won the trade, right?" So with Julius, obviously it comes with a lot of pressure because now you see what Cat's doing in New York, all the numbers he's putting up. Obviously Julius probably doesn't care, and the fans care. That's the part. That's the part. The fans care about what's going on over there. So I think with his style of play, would be a lot better. I think they need to keep him in the starting lineup, but then start shifting him to the second unit because he can really be that dominant scorer for that second unit. He's not going to be competing with anybody on that second unit for the ball. They're going to give him the ball, and I think that's where his ISO will flourish. They got to just try to basically sprinkle in minutes with the starters, but then also sprinkle minutes in with the second unit, but doing it in a way where it's positive and doing it in a way where it's helping the team in the long run. Because I love how Nas and Rudy play off each other, and
Yeah.
a lot of the fans want to see that a lot more. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the lineup. But like you said though, he's the scapegoat. When he has a great game, like when he hit that three, that game winner, everybody was Julius Randle's the man.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as as soon as he puts up a clunker, then the fan base just jumps on him. So it's
Yep.
gonna be interesting to see what Tim Conley does. This next month. Because something's got to give. One thing I could definitely tell you, he got to get a rebound. He got to get somebody that want to do the dirty work, some rebounding, because they need a Robert Williams. They need somebody that can come up in this joint and just clean the glass. Give him Windex.
Yeah. The problem with that is that type of player, given the rest of the roster, needs to be able to shoot, and the quality rebounder that also can knock down 3-point shots is a rare type of player. And I just think like league wide, everyone I think is kind of searching for someone that can both protect the rim
Yeah,
and make 3-point shots.
I got the
Um,
perfect person. You ready?
Well, Boston's not trading Horford, so
No. I don't want Horford's old. I love Horford, but he's old. I say Jeremy Grant.
that's not a rim protector though.
He can protect every now and then, but he'll get on the glass. But he can hit the three.
Yeah, I mean he would probably fit better with this team, like in place of Randall, but like I'm more thinking like because I don't think Nas is a traditional rim protector. I think like the four is kind of his position. So like long term, I think that's like the Wolves need a starting point guard to at some point. They don't really have one right now other than Mike, who's still kind of finding his role within the team. They have Dillingham. I think that would be like the who you'd hope, or it might hinge on their like their title chances might hinge on in future years on Dillingham becoming a quality NBA player. And like to me, the starting center long term, because I just think Rudy's going to age out of that position by the time they're kind of going back to title contention window, is like what can they find there? What is the like I said, the number of people that can both protect the rim and shoot threes is, or really just like even like just be respectable from there, is low. And so but it also feels like that's I guess you don't even have to shoot threes because like Hartenstein doesn't shoot threes, and like OKC still has plenty of spacing. I'm looking if Chet shoots threes. I know he does to a certain extent, but like
he does.
But like to what extent? 37% on low attempts, like that's respectable. Like they just the Wolves right now just have the opposite, and I'm just not sure. Like Gobert fits in this like NBA as like a starting caliber center, or like as like a championship quality center anymore.
See, and my thing is, I feel like they just need somebody that's going to be able to clean the glass while Rudy's defending. They need a power forward that can really just, you don't have to worry about him when he's on the island by himself. What about a Miles Turner? Like somebody like that. Great rim protector, can hit the three. They need a player like that can actually, hold his own and really, really, help this lineup because defense is what this team is built on. And through 40 games, I haven't seen that. And we've been talking about it. Oh, we're gonna see it. We'll see it sooner or later. But I'm realizing now, and I've come to reality that this team is, 360 from last year's team, and we just have to, wait to see because, Tim's probably got a couple more moves up his sleeves, and we don't know what's gonna happen. But at the end of the day, this team, like you said, sitting right now, is definitely first round, unless Anthony Edwards goes into that phone booth and comes out.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is he had a quality stretch of games. I thought the Memphis game was just an atrocious ant game for a lot of reasons. The Washington game, even though he scored 40 points, was not great, but it doesn't matter. Like, he was great in the fourth quarter. Everyone was bad in that game. I was there. Like, I don't blame anyone. The travel situation stunk. The building stunk. They got the win. I like that Washington game. I kind of said to someone, like, I am taking exactly 0 from that game, good or bad. Just like they won, they got it done. Great, go
home.
And don't like. Well, what about this? They could nope. There's nothing to take away, good or bad. There's nothing there. It's just
they won the game. Let's just go.
Yeah, it's just weird. Maybe because I was distracted because of the Vikings game. Maybe that's why I want to just forget that night altogether. But
that was a rough night.
Yeah. But like
that's another podcast though.
Yeah, I really don't want to talk about the Vikings, trust me. But like they just kind of need more from Ant. And there's been points where like I've meant that as like a slight on Ant, and it's kind of more the whole team needs to be able to it's like he's 7 of 19 from the floor last night. Like the numbers are fine, 8 rebounds to it. Like 5 turnovers stand out.
Yeah.
As a team, they only had 9. I don't know. It's just like I said, the spacing is just so bad around him, and I think there's been times where like he's needed to do better against the spacing, but like it's also like not quite a coincidence to me that like his last two big scoring games, 53 against Detroit and 41 against Washington, were against teams that like don't have a great defender for him and
Yeah.
weren't doubling him as hard as other teams. So like that's gonna be continued like can he score and can he play well through these double teams, especially like we'll see against Memphis again if they guard him the exact same way where they're face guarding him. But like in that first quarter, he had like 2 points and they're getting crushed. Like it
Yeah.
just feels like every like big swing in these games, they're just not quite getting enough from Ant, and it's not just on him, it's really on everyone in the organization because like when he's on, like you get that Clippers game where he's just hitting daggers. Like just kind of haven't had as much of that as we'd like to see this year.
Yeah, I feel like last night, he was being the ultimate teammate, right? He had open lanes and sometimes he's like, "Oh, I need a pass." And I don't like when Ant's too passive. And I thought that was some of the stuff that I saw last night was very passive, um but that's what you do as well when you got somebody like Dante who's hot, right?
Yep.
You start force feeding, and that's the same thing that happened last year with Cat's big game against the Hornets. You know what I'm saying? So I think sometimes Ant gets caught in that, like, oh, this guy's hot. Let me keep getting him. Let me keep getting him. But at the same time, it's like, no, we need you to be hot.
Yeah.
And we need you to create because when Ant goes downhill, he's making a play for himself or his teammates when he's kicking it out. And that's when he's dangerous. And sometimes when he settles for these threes, I panic a little bit. But he's shooting at a high clip, so you can't really be too mad. But last night, if we're talking about last night's game, he definitely you could tell he's really trying to be a real good teammate and get people involved. But sometimes they're expecting that he's just gonna go up. He's just gonna
Yep.
do his thing, and they're not expecting the pass when it comes. Sometimes, and that happens. But you know, like I tell people, I'm starting my team with any day, and just his confidence, his swagger, and his demeanor, and the will of like he reminds me of a young Kevin Durant. Like he's just a gym rat, you know. And the thing is, he just needs to figure out those double teams and figure out small things that you do learn as you go along. Like people keep forgetting he's only 23. It's like ridiculous,
Mm-hmm.
So got to continue to just play through them and hope that they put the right pieces around him, right? Because when it comes to spacing, you got to make sure that your best player has the players around him to make him be successful. That's what the Bucks did with Giannis. That's what they did with Jokic. You know what I'm saying? Like they make sure that these players have players that are constantly moving. Steph Curry had movement. Even with Memphis, Memphis surprised me. I didn't know that their ball movement was like that. That they had that ball, it was like a hot potato. So just we got to figure out how to make sure the ball's not sticking. And I
Right.
think once Ant or Randall get it, then it's like people are watching too much. It's like we got to
Mm-hmm.
continue to keep the ball moving, and that's the only way you're gonna continue to get better.
Yeah, that's another like Julius scapegoat thing where people point to him as like the lack of ball movement, and I've seen just as much of that from Ant as well. And it to a
Mm,
certain extent it makes sense because like Ant, you want Ant to he'll have those pull up threes that are amazing and win games, but also like I think they could do a better job of when he's on the court, kind of keeping the ball movement as well.
yeah,
I guess the next thing we could touch on is Dante DiVincenzo was listed out for the next game,
yeah,
with the right toe sprain, or I don't remember which toe, I guess, but the toe sprain kind of
yeah,
at the end of the Warriors game. So they'll be missing him. They brought up Rob Dillingham from the G League, so I would guess that Mike Conley will kind of slide back into the starting point guard role.
yeah,
And both Nikhil and I would guess Dillingham will get some more minutes. Maybe Josh Minot didn't play in the Warriors game, but maybe Minot will get some minutes as well. I guess how big of an impact do you think Dante is being out? We haven't heard it. I'm assuming tomorrow, Chris Hine out there in New York will ask Finch about Dante and his injury status. But what do you think? Assuming it's just a 1 or 2 game absence for Dante, how do you think that impacts the Wolves?
I think it impacts them a little bit. I mean, from an offensive standpoint, because you see the confidence and the swagger and the spacing that he's brought. Recently, this stretch, since the Clippers game. So I think honestly it's going to be a blow because you don't want to be one of those teams that gets caught on, okay, we had Mike Conley for 30 games and then now all of a sudden we got Dante. But then Dante gets hurt. Now you got to go back to Mike. Then you're like, oh, wait a minute, we got to go. You know what I'm saying? The back and forth
Yep.
stuff. So I think it's more so just getting comfortable with the system and what Coach Finch has implemented. And I think Dante's impact definitely from a scoring perspective is going to be missed. But then also Mike Conley, you miss him knowing where they need the ball at and what the defense is and reading and different things like that. Not saying Dante can't do it, but Mike Conley has that familiarity with Ant and these guys already, so that it's gonna be an easy transition to go back in there. But I'm hoping that it's just a game or two and get Dante back in there because I think his scoring threat opens up the floor. So when you got Ant and Julius doing their thing, you still got Dante over there that you got to worry about.
Yeah, I mean the hope is that we've kind of been wanting change all year, and this isn't the way we wanted it to happen. But maybe this is just like a blessing in disguise, and just a shake up for shake up's sake will help. I mean, it kind of did help when they inserted Dante into the starting lineup. They've gone 4-2 since. Maybe this will be another kind of shake up that kind of shakes them out of this malaise that they've kind of had all year, really, and certainly had in that first quarter against Golden
Yeah,
State. But I think they're gonna. I mean, he's been like their second best offensive player almost the past few weeks, so they're gonna really miss him.
yeah.
Miss him there. They might have to give Julius the ball more. Unfortunately, they're gonna probably have to really lean on Mike. Hopefully, Mike can kind of find his form a little
Well,
bit. And I'm interested to see Dillingham. He's been away from the team injury wise and with the G League for a while, so hopefully they can kind of reintegrate him back because he's going to be a big piece of this franchise for the next few years.
yeah. So this is what I was gonna say. What do you do if Dante's banged up? Right? Say Dante's banged up for about 4 or 5 games. What do you do if Mike's playing outstanding? Do you put him back? Do you put Dante back in the starting lineup, or you got him coming off the bench again now?
I don't know. It's a good question. Probably the first game back, you put him back in the bench in case there's like some sort of you want to keep his minutes lower. But I still think the best starting lineup is with Mike coming off the bench because I just don't see him playing 40 minutes a night or 30 minutes a night really. So I think they'd look to move Dante, but that sounds like a good problem to have if we're
That
having
is a
Mike
great
playing
no.
well
That's a
again.
great problem to
So
have. Yeah, it's a great problem to have. But I was just thinking about that because my thing is, you never know if Mike going to the bench might have sparked something where he's like, okay, well, I gotta step my game up.
yeah, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. They're gonna miss him. It's kind of too bad he's missing this next game because I'm sure that was something he had circled as going back to MSG and really showing their fans something, and he won't get that opportunity. But I don't know. I'm interested to see what the injury update is. If it's just like they don't want to play in the back to back, or if is this like a day to day, or uh hopefully not like a week to week thing. But um any sort of strain isn't great to see. Um but yeah, one thing I want to touch on is just kind of looking at their recent schedule and their upcoming schedule. Um
Yeah.
Finch kind of talked about before the Washington game, like I asked him about the schedule, and he kind of had like the classic answer about like everyone's going through a rough schedule here or there. Like we're all fighting, we're not complaining about it. But I just kind of wanted to highlight some of the facts about the recent schedule. So they're on a stretch where 11 of their previous 16 games are a stretch of dating back to December 23rd. 11 of 16 games are on the road. And they have no back-to-back home games during that entire stretch, meaning they've basically been on a 16-game road streak. Not quite that, but like if you have one day at home, and they've had in during that stretch, they have one extra day off, as in not counting a day off like a travel day. Basically, they have one day off. for like a whole month. They have 31 games in 57 days, 5 back-to-backs and 1 day off. Like, so they have 4 more back-to-backs than they have extra days off. Like, I mean, the first quarter is a disaster. But like, I don't think it should come as a surprise. Like, the schedule is just impossible right now. Like, I don't think I've ever seen this. Like, this many games on the road, this few games, like they go over a month without back-to-back home games, and then even they get 2 and they're back on the road for 2, and then they finally get a homestand, and then it's right into the All-Star break. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
it's Finch is right that like you can't. Every team is gonna have tough schedule spots, but like I'm not sure what, like them playing 500 over the stretch isn't really that bad. Like they were 14 and 13 coming into this tough stretch, and they've gone 1 game over 500, 7 and 6. Like,
Yeah.
it stinks that like, and at this point, like you look ahead to their next schedule, they got tomorrow night, they got at the Knicks, and then home Cleveland on the second night of a back-to-back. Cleveland got swamped by OKC tonight, so that's
They're
not
gonna be
great.
pissed. Yeah,
They're gonna be pissed, so that's gonna be tough. And then you go at Memphis, and following that at Dallas, and then here's finally you get an extra day off before Denver and Atlanta at home. Like, I think they're just kind of get through that stretch 500. If they can split these next 6 games, maybe they could finally start to rattle off. But like, I agree with you that like I keep the idea that this team could make a finals run kind of is dwindling away. But I do think like their ceiling of getting to like a 4 seed, say, and then making a run or something, I do think is there. It's just going to have to come, unfortunately, after the trade deadline when the schedule lightens up.
Yeah. I've been waiting for them to like rattle off this like, 5 to 7 game winning streak, and it hasn't happened yet. But it'll happen. But like you said, they got a tough schedule ahead, man. I mean, some tough games. I mean, Cleveland. I mean, Denver. I mean, Dallas. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be tough. They got a tough stretch coming, but like you said, if they can split it, we'll be right where we need to be. I think the biggest thing for them is just playing this style of basketball. Don't get caught up, right? Do what you have to do, and Ant got to show up. This is the road trip right here where he got to show up. You know, big time players make big time moves, so
Mm-hmm.
we need him to make sure he steps up, and I think that's huge. But the disadvantage comes with all these players with load management. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this goes back to the load management. So at the end of the day, these players they actually they weren't playing, or they'll say, oh, my back, my neck. So this is all in cause of that. So the scheduling is it's not on your side right now. But like you said, that second half of the season, I think if they can rattle off like a good 5 to 7 game winning streak, you know, they're gonna be a tough out regardless of who they face in the playoffs. Like let's not act like they're gonna get steamrolled. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be a tough out. Like Ant ain't going after the success he had last year, and he loved sending people home. He ain't
Mm-hmm.
gonna want to get sent home. So whoever they play is gonna be a tough out.
Yeah,
Regardless.
I mean, unless they go into the playoffs as the 8 seed, I'm going to feel, I wouldn't say confident, but like even like playing Memphis, like I continue to say this, and I'm glad that they've played Memphis now, even though they've lost. The only team that scares me in the West is OKC, and I guess I'm kind of
I'm not even scared of OKC. I'm not. I'm
they've
not
won
scared of them.
85% of their. The Wolves will get swamped by them. I'm pretty confident in saying that. Like they've won 85% of their games. They're going to win 60 plus. The Wolves can barely get above 500. Like
I gotta see it in the playoffs, and I was in that neck of the woods, So I just need to see it in the postseason, and like you said earlier, I don't know if Shea's game's gonna translate in the postseason. I don't think he's gonna get half the calls he's getting now, because they call the games a lot tighter, So it'll be interesting to see, you know, not tighter. My bad. They're a lot looser. They're not blowing
mhm.
the whistle as much. They're letting them play. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But OKC, I think for me, it's more so the experience level. Do they have what it takes experience wise to take that next step? And until I see, I think SGA is a next level type player, but can that whole OKC team go with him? And that's what I want to see, to be able to bring it to that. But I'm confident with whoever we run into in the playoffs. Honestly, do. The only thing I'd be nervous about is the playing.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the play-in, especially because it like you talk about the schedule, like it's just like another game you got to play, another road you got to travel. Um,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I do think they're going to start winning games. I know it just feels like, but I talk about the schedule, and that's why this Warriors game is so frustrating. It's like it's hard to complain about the schedule when the other team's got like half their team out, and you
yeah,
got basically got one guy to guard, and you can't do it.
yeah.
And
That was
even
crazy.
even with that, like if you just have like if the first quarter is just like regular bad or even regular terrible and you're down 18 instead of 24, you win that game going away. And if you grab a rebound, you have a chance to win the game. If you
Yeah,
like it's just kind of it's not just like the late game. When was the last time they like won a close game? I guess the Clippers game was
the Clipper.
close.
I was about to say the Clippers game. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's a good example, but it just feels like they lose a lot more of these close games than they win. Um,
I mean that was the story. The story last year in the playoffs against the Mavs. So
yeah.
it's all about what you do in crunch time, crunch and clutch time. You know what I'm saying? So they gotta find that def lineup, like I said, and be able to put a lineup out there that you could be able to exploit the defense, but at the same time your offense is so potent with the different plays that you're running for people, that it's gonna be successful. I think Ant gotta get downhill more. He just he got like last night he did attack. I give him that. But if he can continue to do that and then take the three when they give it to you, if they're giving it to you, obviously take it. But if he can start the initiative on the offensive end going downhill, that opens up so many things for other people. Lob opportunities to Rudy or, kick outs to Jaden, kick outs to Mike. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity.
I agree with you, but like it just kind of goes back to the spacing. Is there's just so many times when he drives down the lane, there's just a bunch of people are helping off Jaden, helping off Rudy, of course, helping off Randall, and it's just yeah, he can do a better job finding shooters and making plays, but like it's also like from a big picture perspective, like they just need to find ways to get more spacing, and I think you can do it with the players on the court. Like I think Ant can still find Rudy on pick and rolls more. He can kick out better. I mean, he had 11 free throws last night, but he's still continuing to be frustrated with the officiating. Clearly, some of that,
Yeah.
some of that, I probably agree with him. Some of it, you just got to roll with it. But yeah, I think the team is in a better spot than it looks. Like I think about like that Warriors game. I think they win that game 9 times out of 10. If you replay it, maybe Warriors fans will get all mad at me for that. That's fine. But like, it's all I as bad as like this season has been, and I feel like this is just like kicking a dead horse. But like, it's all there in front of them. But for
Mm,
better or worse, it's all they are 3 back of the 4 seed. They are even like 6.5 back of 2. Isn't even that crazy. I mean, the 2 seed is probably uncatchable just in the sense of like one of the teams in front of them will just start winning games, like because
yeah.
if you pull 6 lottery tickets, one's gonna hit or whatever. But like
Hmm.
so like that's still in front of them. If they can win at like the 52 game pace we thought, they'll be in the right side of the out of the play-in. But also they're a game and a half out of 12th. Like they
Yeah. And
if they
that's what's
start
the
playing.
scary. That's the scary part with this stretch.
Yeah, and I think like I can point to teams that I don't think will hold up. As like I don't think the Lakers are going to continue to be above 500. I don't think the Spurs are going to continue to be a 500 team. I like in teams like the Kings, Warriors, Clippers. I don't think are going to start outpacing their current win percentage. Where I do think, I mean, the Mavs. It depends on health. The
Yeah.
Mavericks.
I,
If
I
if
feel
Luke
like the same thing for the Clippers. Yeah, Clippers. It depends on Kawhi. Honestly, they go as far as Kawhi goes. If he's healthy, then they could be a scary out. I mean, I'm really impressed with what the Rockets are doing too.
Yeah, I do agree on the Rockets, but also like the Wolves played them twice, and I'm not. That seems like a team the Wolves could beat.
Yeah,
Kind of same with Memphis, but also like maybe that's like I need to shake that loose because they've been losing more games to these teams than they've been winning. So,
yeah.
um, but yeah, that's where we'll wrap things up. Leo and I will be back early next week. Travis, you got anything to plug? Got anything upcoming planned?
Just check out sneakerreporter.com. Gonna have a lot more stuff coming up this week. Some more Anthony Edwards sneaker content coming up this week. I got a couple of things with that. And then just keep us tuned in and keep us locked in. Sneaker Reporter on all the socials. I know they're getting rid of TikTok, so just follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and then what's the other one? Blue Sky.
Yep. All
Appreciate
right.
you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. I'm Ryan for Travis. We'll see you guys next time.